Good morning. It's Larry Steinhouse, and this is the Larry Steinhouse Show. How cool is this? Today is the Coach-a-thon. I haven't slept in days putting this together. It's horrible. Oh, no, it's actually really fun. So all day long, actually for all week long, as you know, I've been advertising that I'm going to do what's called a Coach-a-thon. And today is going to be 24 different people that I'm going to be interviewing in 12 hours. This is insane, okay? My wife tells me I'm crazy. My friends tell me I'm crazy. I realized last night that I'm crazy, so I decided not to do it. Never mind, we're not doing it. No, I'm kidding. We're going to do it. But this morning, it's really great because I have a good friend, actually, who started out as a student of mine and has become a friend, and I really like this guy, and I want to tell you a little bit about Todd Radus. And Todd, you can see him over there. Wave to the audience. There you go. So Todd's a really cool guy. He's a former Navy, which is really neat. I want to find out about that. Aviation electrician. Now, I used to be really into electronics. So I'll tell you, Todd, when I see somebody who knows about electrical things. Oh, that was really loud. That wasn't supposed to happen. We tried to fix that this morning.
We did.
And it didn't fix it.
We thought we had it.
Anyway, we'll get into that in a little while. A Gulf War vet, 25 years of business management, and you wrote a book. Well,
yes.
You didn't publish it yet, right?
No.
So tell me a little bit about your book, because I want to hear about that.
Okay, well, the book's called Your Three Horses, and the whole idea was to go a little bit different from your usual motivational and inspirational books and try to attract people who might not get into buying, a Think and Grow Rich immediately or something from Dale Carnegie. So I went with Your Three Horses, and the three horses that you have are desire, passion, and persistence. And everyone around us knows that those three qualities are what usually makes somebody successful.
So you say desire, passion, yeah, and
persistence.
Okay, so this is interesting. So I actually love this. It actually is like right up my alley. If you guys know me, I'm all about I'm all about the law of attraction or or Think and Grow Rich or whatever it is that people want to say it is. By the way, my personal belief is that's all biblical, but I'll get in. I'm sorry, I'm going off on this tangent here.
That's
but,
all right.
But I actually always want to write a book on how biblical those things were, and maybe one day I will. And now that I put it out there, I might actually do that because that's desire, right?
Yeah.
But so let's talk about passion. So what are some of your passions?
My passions revolve around being able to create a world for me and my wife where we can do the things we want and really enjoy our time together. So that's the primary driving passion behind my goals to be an author, be a coach, help other people. So my passion's really focused on my wife and my students. I started the coaching business about 6 months ago. I have a few students now. I'm building that entire concept around helping people.
And as you know, and I'm sure some of you know, I love helping people. Isn't it just a great, awesome feeling? Sometimes people say to me, they're like, you charge for your services. How much do you charge? I'm like, who cares? And sometimes I don't even care that some, I'm not going to say that I'm going to give it to you for free. I don't want to announce that, right? But sometimes you just want to help people, and I love the fact that you're one of those people that just wants to help people. I mean, look, Todd's even here today. Todd's even here today because as part of what I'm doing today is I need help, and Todd's helping all day. He's going to be here. First of all, I'm going to be on the air for 12 hours. I'm sorry, for 12 hours. But Todd's going to be here helping all the people, which I think is awesome, and I so appreciate you, Todd. I really do.
Thank you.
And it's really great that you're doing that. By the way, if anybody out there wants to make any comments, ask Todd any questions, or have anything that they want to say, feel free to do that. We can actually see your comments on this Facebook Live as well. So tell me a little bit. So you told me about your passion, right? So tell me a little about tell me a little about the rest of your life. Actually, I need to roll back. I want to hear about your Gulf War experience and what happened and what you were doing there.
Well, my time in the Navy was. It was an interesting time in my life. I was a bit of a screwed-up teenager and needed some discipline, so I knew that. At least I had enough wisdom to know that. So I joined the service. And when I went in, I wanted to be an aviation electrician, but there was no openings in what they call the A school, which is basically military college. So when I got in, the recruiter had told me I'd be able to get into the school once I was in. And you're laughing because you already know the recruiter.
Yeah. This is how recruiters work. We'll say anything we want to get you in there because we get paid to recruit people. And sorry that you didn't get what you were supposed to get. Yeah.
So
which, by the way, a lot of them got in trouble for that.
Oh yeah.
That was a big change.
He didn't actually lie. I could get the A school after I re-upped after 4 years. He just failed to mention that.
Oh, I see. Wow.
So I was determined, though, to become an aviation electrician. So this is all in my book, too. So you can read the entire story in great detail.
Very cool.
But I self-studied over the next 9 months after I was at my assigned duties. And I passed the aviation electrician test without a day in the school. And my skipper and chief said, I'm not saying nobody's ever done this before, but it was a technical field, and it's very rare that somebody can study a stack of electricians' books written in government terminology and then nail the test. So I took the test one time, and I actually got a stripe.
Oh, we're gonna have to fix that for the next one. But okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I got an extra stripe for that, and became a third-class petty officer in my first 2 years in.
Wow.
So that was a big point of pride. But it's funny because talking about the book, it actually all goes back to a sales conference that I attended when I was 16 as a salesman, and the keynote speaker that day was Zig Ziglar.
Ah, it's funny. Yeah, Zig Ziglar. I'll tell you, Zig Ziglar had a big effect on my life too. I went to see him years ago, and I had no idea who he was, which happens to me often. I have no idea who these people are, and then I find out who they are. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. I got to spend some time with Brian Tracy a couple of weeks ago, which was awesome. I was at his house. How cool was that?
That's really cool.
That was really cool. Yeah, I was at his house, and I thought that was really neat. So tell me about. We went into Passion, we went into Desire. No, we didn't go into Desire. Talk to me about Desire.
Well, Desire. I think people have a tendency to confuse desire with their purpose or their goals.
Okay.
Desire is what drives you towards those goals. The goals themselves are something separate.
Oh, that's going to be a problem. But it is what it is. I'm sorry about that, audience. Right. I'm sorry about that, Todd. It's just we tried to fix it before, but keep going. I'm sorry.
I'll keep going right through it. No problem. So, in your three horses, I actually say that the chariot is your goal or your purpose in life, and desire's steering you towards reaching that. So your desires to achieve your goals are the power behind striving for your goals.
So how does one actually reach their goals? What would you suggest someone do?
The first thing I would do is I've got a little pamphlet on my website at trsuccess.com called
Very
Getting
cool.
Started.
We might even be able to pull that up. Let's see what that looks like. If I can pull that up, hold on. I've got to do a couple of things here to get that to work.
That's all right. You want me to go into it while you're looking?
No, yeah, sure. That'd be great. Yes, let's talk about it. Sure.
Okay, so I came up with 5 steps for the beginner, a person who hasn't been into this very long.
Okay.
And the first step is to realize that success is individual. Some people see it as money. Some people see it as having a family. Some people have religious points of views or esoteric points of views that they view reaching certain goals as successful.
Okay.
So that's the first step, is to understand that you don't judge your success by what other people think is successful. The second step is to do what you and I were just talking about, or what you were talking about, meeting Tracy and seeing people like Zig Ziglar, and that's create beneficial associations.
I love that idea, actually. I totally agree.
You need people who are going to support your ideas and be behind you, and this way you've got that base support behind ideas that a lot of people might say they're crazy. And then the next thing
they all think I'm crazy.
Well, we call you the crazy real estate investor for a reason. So the third step, which a lot of people might think is the first, is to actually have a goal.
Right. And this is one of the keys, because I find this amazing that most people have no goals. They have no idea what they want, and that's why they don't get what they want.
Yeah.
And I think you and I have had this conversation. Like, people say that they want to make more money. I'm like, great. Well, how much more money?
Yeah, they don't have a figure.
Right.
They don't have a plan. They don't have a way. So you have to actually create the goal to strive towards it.
Yeah, you tell people to again, like I want more money. I'm like, okay, great. Here's a dime. Now you have more money. They got their goal. If they didn't put it at a specific number, or they didn't put a specific reason or something they want to do with that money, it'll never happen. I mean, over and over and over again, I find I visualize something in my mind and it comes. I mean, it just this whole thing, this whole studio. I mean, if you want to take a look at this studio came from me visualizing the fact that I always wanted to be a radio star, and I was too lazy to go to college and become a radio star. And the fact is, it's really great that I didn't become a radio star because radio's dead anyway.
Well,
so now I'm Facebook famous.
Well, it's funny that you bring that up, because it wasn't 5 weeks ago we were sitting at a conference and you leaned over and said, I want to have a coach-a-thon.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what happened. It's funny that you said that. I had no idea. It was just one of those weird things. I put it together. I said, let's do it. Let's make it happen. And here we are. We're doing it.
And you took
long.
the actions. You put it together. You developed a plan, and you executed the plan.
I don't even know if I developed the plan. I just said I was going to do
just did it.
And the next thing I know, here we are doing it. Wait, is that today?
Yeah, that's today. It's right now. So the next step for me is, I call it learning at the next level. We can read all the books, and we can have all the base knowledge and all the general knowledge in the world and have no idea how to apply it. And so for me, learning at the next level is going back to your associations and finding people who can teach you how to apply this base knowledge that you have, or even show you where to find that base knowledge. So before we do anything, we've got to know what our goals are, what success means to us, and how to learn to become successful.
So I actually, and I agree with you, but I want to take a step back to one thing too. Right, your goals. Now, look, people have said things like make wish boards, write your goals down, visualize your goals. Which one is your favorite? What would you suggest someone do if they really wanted to set their goals?
There's two that I use together. I use a wish board, and I use a written down goal, and I use it the same way Napoleon Hill instructs you to use it, until it's memorized and you can pretty much recite it in your mind.
So do you do that? Because it's funny, because I was reading Napoleon Hill, The Keys to Success, the other day, and it's funny. I must have read Think and Grow Rich so many times that I used to know it by chapter. I mean, I could tell you where 3 feet from goal, one of my favorite stories. All of these things. But when you go back to actually, and I remember reading this in Think and Grow Rich. I remember reading this, and I read it again the other day in Keys to Success. Secret Success or Keys to Success? I always mix. I think it's Secrets to Success is what it's called. And I remember that it says, you write them down and you read them every night before you go to bed.
Yes.
Now do you do that? I'll be honest, I don't.
I did initially for probably the first 2 to 3 months until I really had it down. And what I found is that you also have to apply the flexibility that he talks about. You might have a plan today and a goal today, but something may come into your life that changes your direction. It's up to you to decide whether that direction is actually where you really want to go.
So, and that's interesting too. I like that too. That's great, because you're not only the direction, but the ultimate goal, how you think you're going to get there, might not be the path that took you to that goal. I tell you a kind of a funny story, right? So everybody knows about how you're supposed to get older, you're supposed to retire and get a watch, right? How many times have you heard you're supposed to get a watch, right?
Right.
You get a watch, right? So I'm certainly not going to retire from any company, but one of the funniest things happened the other day. I was at Ryan Long's City Gala. Right. And sure enough, there was this guy on stage, and he was doing a raffle. It was $20 a ticket. I bought 10 tickets, and it was for my wife and I actually to win matching watches. I guess I already gave the end of the story now that I just said that, but it was to get matching watches, and the watches were beautiful. They were diamond and sapphire watches, beautiful stainless steel band, absolutely gorgeous watches. So of course, as you probably already guessed, I won. I'm like, oh, I got my watch.
You got your watch.
So there it is.
You didn't have to wait to retire.
Right, I didn't have to wait to retire. I did retire. I retired years ago.
Well, that's true. You work for yourself now.
Well, I don't even call. See, and it's funny. I don't even call what I do work. I call everything I do fun.
Yeah.
Some of the fun makes money. Talking to you right now, I'm not making any money, but it's fun.
Right.
But I got
It's
a feeling.
blast.
I got a feeling it'll make money for one of us. It doesn't really matter. but it's fun. So this is what makes my life enjoyable. Is I just enjoy having fun. So what other things can you tell people to do to have them, be able to realize their goals? So again, we're talking about,
That was better.
Yeah, I lowered it a little bit. We were talking about how to, visualize your goals. So again, you use the wish board, right?
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
and then
That's how I got my Cadillac.
Oh, that's right. Let's hear the story about the Cadillac because the Cadillac story. I really like the Cadillac because I remember you coming into my office, like the first appointment we had a coaching call and session, and you said you wanted a Cadillac. So tell me about that.
So I went home. I had made the decision to get a Cadillac actually that morning before I met you.
Wow.
So I printed up a picture of a Cadillac. I wasn't too particular. There were two models I wanted, one or the other. So I put pictures everywhere. My screensaver was Cadillacs, and every morning when I woke up, in order to focus on the Cadillac, I went to the car sales websites and just started looking at Cadillacs. Now, at the time, I couldn't afford a new Cadillac, but I didn't want a lousy one either,
Right.
So, and it was kind of fortuitous when I was doing this because a car dealer that I had bought a car from 5 years ago when they first opened, I was one of their initial supporters, came up with this 2014 Cadillac CTS4 that was right in my price range.
Awesome.
So I called him up. He stayed open late on a Saturday, and I drove away with my Cadillac.
So why do you think it was in your price range?
Because it was sent to me.
That's exactly right. And that was the answer I was looking for. It's so incredible what happens when you actually sit down and decide you're going to do it. I know you had something going on last night, which I want to hear about in a minute. But we also had something else going in this area, which was a real estate mixer, so a real estate investor mixer. And somebody there who was not a student, who actually I did a personal coaching for, I did him a favor, did a personal coaching call for him, a personal coaching one-on-one for him. Mm-hmm. And it was funny because he came to me and goes, I want to invest in real estate. And I said, well, why do you want to invest in real estate? He goes, because I want enough money to buy a recording studio. I'm like, why do you want a recording studio? And he said, because I want to be able to record my music. And, he said, I need this piece of equipment, I need this piece of equipment, I need this piece of equipment, I need this piece of equipment. And I said, so why do you want to buy real estate? So I can afford to do it. I said, you don't need to buy real estate to afford to do that. Just go do it. So last night he shows up at this mixer, and sure enough, he shows up, and wow, it's amazing. He starts showing me pictures of all the equipment. He starts to show me pictures of a studio in his bedroom that one of his spare bedrooms that he created for all of this stuff. And I said, how did it come to you? He goes, you're not going to believe it. Somebody had some equipment that they didn't need anymore, and they sold to me really cheap. And another guy, somebody died, and I'm like, see. I said, all you have to do is visualize it, and it happens. And the guy, every time I saw this guy, he was miserable. But last night, he was so excited. He was so happy because all he did was visualize that he wanted this equipment, and it came to him. And I'll tell you what, it made my day because I put, as you know, I get that total thrill when I see my student successful, and I realize he's not a student, but he was successful in what I asked him to do, and he ended up doing it.
Well, that brings me to the final step of the 5, is to take action.
Awesome.
People go, oh, I want $1 million. I don't have a plan. I have no idea how I'm going to achieve this, and I'm going to watch the evening news, and then go to bed. I'm going to go to work for 10, 12 hours a day, but I have I'm not doing anything to achieve a goal. And I think that's where a lot of people are really lacking, is in the ability to get up in the morning and say, I'm going to do something towards reaching my real goals. First, they got to have the goal. So that's why the steps are in the way they're in.
Right, sure.
But once you get that goal, now you've got to do something towards reaching. You got to put yourself in the way of opportunity. The universe is going to provide you more opportunities than you ever realize until you start looking for them.
How can you avoid? That's a weird question. How can you avoid ignoring what the universe is putting in front of you. In other words, let's say you're going down a path and you want to get to your Cadillac, for example.
Mm-hmm.
How do you get? First of all, how do you recognize the signs that the universe is pushing it towards you? And how do you say, oh, I don't believe that. I'm gonna move the other? Because I've seen people do this.
I think it's fear. I think it's fear of taking that step and taking that action that actually brings things to fruition and completion. We get opportunities slapped down in front of us all the time. Now, making a clear decision on which path you want to follow, because what I've found is I started getting so many paths put in my way. It's like, if I make a choice, you do have to kind of stick to it, but you have to be flexible and not change those goals. And in doing that, you're able to recognize the opportunities you should take advantage of, and then the ones that are probably not going to be advantageous to your own success. But fear, I think, is what stops people from grabbing the ones where they, and we hear it all the time. I knew I should have done that.
Right, absolutely. Or how about the other side? I knew I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Well, and how do you avoid those problems?
I think you just recognize them and go with. I think it's intuition.
Yeah.
We call it the sixth sense, whatever it is. But until you start engaging that, you're never going to learn to recognize what's valuable and what isn't.
How do we basically differentiate, I should say, between fear and the sixth sense? Because sometimes our fear is unnecessary. It should not be there, and we think it's our sixth sense. I've been there. That's why I'm asking you.
Well, I actually wrote a section in the book on this,
cool.
Using a lot of people who end up in a violent crime. I don't really want to go down this path, but it's a very good example. They end up in a violent crime. When they're interviewed, they say, "Oh, I knew before I walked down that alley I shouldn't have gone," or I went to this party and I wasn't comfortable going. The problem becomes is if you follow that sixth sense, you can't validate it.
Yeah. I guess you're right. It's just, and again, sometimes you just have to make the decision that this is I'm either going down this path or I'm not going down this path. Now, we have a few minutes. I actually was able to get your website. Now, you won't be able to see it.
Okay.
But what should we show on your website?
There's a 13-page booklet called Getting Started on the website.
Okay, so if they go to here, Getting Started, download your free booklet, right?
Yep.
Is right here, and let me just see if I can pull that up. So there it is. So there is Getting Started, 5 Steps to Improving Your Life. So you can go to, it's trsuccess.com, is that right?
Yep, or ToddRadus.com.
Or Todd Radus. Let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger so people can see it on their screen, because it's hard to see it here. Okay, so there we go. Yeah, so there we go. So we got trsuccess.com, and so when they fill this out, what are they gonna find? What are they gonna see?
Well, they're gonna see those 5 basic steps.
Great.
And if you go to the end of each chapter, I've got 3 highlights, and they're actually not chapters. They're just a couple of pages of guidance, and you can always refer back to the 2 or 3 highlighted points from above. So we get people to understand what they want and what success means to them, and we get them moving in the right direction, because you've got to have that goal. Create your associations, create your goal, be solid about it, learn at the next level, get people to help you learn what you need to learn to be successful, and then take actions. And I've got the 3 action a day philosophy. You wake up in the morning and you write down 3 things, no matter how minor or big, that you're going to do that day towards that goal. Whether it's writing emails, maybe you're extending your education, but 3 things a day. And if you fulfill those early, add 3 more. So take your spare time, shut the TV off, and actually do something to benefit your own life and your family's life.
I love that. I absolutely love that. That is fantastic. You know what? I could probably talk to you all day, but technically we're out of time.
We're out of time.
I know. Isn't that how it always goes, right? So we are going to be doing this all day, and actually Todd's going to be here all day too. He may even pop in now and then and talk to some of the other, I'm going to call them stars, because everyone today is a star. And it's going to be an amazing thing. By the way, I want to make a shout out to Kim, and I want to make a shout out to Dan. I don't know who else is watching. I only know you're watching if you make comments, because the system doesn't say who else is watching. So if anybody else out there are watching, I really appreciate it. And if you could like and share, I totally would appreciate that as well, because This is just so awesome. Oh, so I will talk to you guys in about 5 more minutes. We're going to bring in our next guest, who is Solomon Brenner, and it's going to be awesome. I'll tell you more about him. He's a karate guy, and I'm really afraid he's going to beat me up if I say the wrong thing.
He seemed pretty friendly out there. I don't think you have much to worry about. Yeah.
All right, so we are good. We are about to go out, and we'll be back in about 5 minutes on a new broadcast.